This is why it was always silly to me when people were like, "Oh, she did full frontal," and I'm like, "That's not full frontal. If I can't see the labia, that's not full frontal. That's just a merkin. It's like a bathing suit. Get out of here with this."
What do men use for that? Like those types of scenes where they're supposed to have like nude scenes, like a sex scene, but they're nude. Like they have to keep something to keep themselves from getting erect.
Not technically, no. They don't have to do anything. You know what? This is gross. Never mind. I'm not going to get into it. They wear the little like men sock. Oops.
Cool.
Movies. Yeah. They this is what they wear for the sex scenes.
Dune director's penis sock. Interesting. So just like little
Oscar Isaac's musty gift to Dune director, his nude scene penis sock. That's nice. It's a classy industry. But yeah, so this is what they wear for the sex scenes. I would want. I'd have to like put. I'd be worried about pre-cum. Is the thing. Like I'd have to put like fill it up with paper towels or something.
Mm-hmm. Cotton balls.
Cotton balls, yes, exactly. Because that would be, I imagine, off-putting to a female co-star when she's got like snail slime down her leg. Is that too descriptive?
No, it's pretty much true. I mean, kind of, yeah. When you think about it, yeah. I mean, that's sort of what it is.
Some people, anyway. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Brennan. Hey, guys. Welcome to 426.
This is the final normal. Well, aside from the season, the Christmas special, which is still to come. This is kind of the final normal traditional episode that we'll be doing. We're switching over to
cock socks.
They might not even see that we were talking about cock socks.
Well, now they know what they were talking about.
Now they're just bizarre that you.
Look, if they're still here watching us after 26 episodes, they should know that they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait until they talk about cock socks on this show."
Yeah. So we'll do individual segments going forward, and the release schedule
can mess with the algorithm.
Yeah, and the release schedule will be less strict. It won't be every Monday at noon the way it's been for the last year. But so that way it's everybody wins. I don't have to work as hard. Listeners can decide if they want to watch, or audience, used to saying listeners. Audiences can decide if they want to watch a particular episode without having to look at the whole timeline. Mm-hmm. So it'll just be better for everybody. Anyway, Alex, you wanted to talk about the financial forecast for Disney.
Oh, yeah. So Disney had their recent financial things come out. And they said that they're doing really good. Our parks are doing fantastic. It's mostly because they jacked up the prices in the parks. And they're not looking backwards about getting rid of any of that stuff because they never really lower rates for that. Excuse me. Unfortunately, their streaming figures are a little funny because they kind of played around some of the figures and they are actually flat, even though they're saying that, oh, we've gotten all these new subscribers and stuff like that, so we've actually gone up. But they changed the period of time that they're taking those figures from is a much shorter period of time, like 3 or 4 months as compared to a much longer year like they did previously, which if you kind of take that into regard, they're actually kind of flat because it's whatever they're putting on there. Same like with the rest of the streaming services. Certain things that they're putting on there, nobody's interested in, and the stuff that people are interested in, they still keep that audience, or the audience is like, hey, can you put on some of this other stuff that we like and prefer?
You still want Zorro.
I'm a simple man. I told Erica, I'm like, there's a Disney movie I own. It's with Reese Witherspoon called A Far Off Place, which I think takes place in Africa and stuff. It's not on Disney. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that maybe it was distributed by Disney or produced by somebody else or some. It always comes down to that when you start looking at some of those things. Another one is Dick Tracy, because I think the issue with Dick Tracy is the Warren Beatty factor. But at the same time, it's like, just hash over your differences and just put that on there because, if people would like to watch this, they could. Or if they wanted to, they could buy the stuff online. But the problem is that I'm kind of at the point where Disney doesn't even sell their own DVDs on their website anymore. What it does is that when you go on their website, it then links you to that listing for that item on Amazon. And it's not being sold by Disney on Amazon. It's kind of sold by whoever has it listed there. So you can buy like an official Disney movie for like $9, or you can get like a movie there for like $29.99. And there's no rhyme or reason, even though it's like the official link from Disney and stuff. Anyways, the interesting thing though, which I was fascinated by, is that Disney is trying to buy out Comcast from their stake in Hulu.
Yes, we talked about this.
And it's kind of like there was talk about, like they were saying like, well, maybe they're going to like, I was always like, just sell off your portion of Hulu, get rid of it, you don't need it, but they're actually buying it, whatever Comcast's investment is it from Comcast. Right. So they're kind of like already massively in debt, and then they're just sending truckloads of cash to Universal down there in Orlando, like 5 miles away.
We talked about this crazy man.
Did we talk about them like buying it from Comcast?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm reiterating it.
Okay. Because it was a whole, whatever the last, I think Alex's Disney forecast episode was, because I remember screen capping it during, and having the headline during the episode about Comcast getting bought out from Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember this at all?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's coming through. But they still have to do something with the CW, which is the other weird thing, because it's like...
Well, also you were talking before about what's going on with ESPN. Like, is
They didn't really mention anything about ESPN. I know they're still trying to figure out what to do with it and find a buyer with it, but I think a lot of people, in terms of like why would you like? A lot of people have just kind of gone a la carte now with what teams they want to watch. If you want to watch your sports team, like local teams, you'd have to go with like marquee. Okay, Chicago, you'd have marquee channel for the Cubs, unless they're on national televised, or you have to go through ESPN or was it Fox Sports Chicago, whatever, Comcast Sports Chicago or something. If you're watching like a Bulls game or something like that, or Bears are always going to be on like Fox or NBC if they're playing like an AFC team or something like that. So it's kind of like there's really no point to watching ESPN, because when I was younger, I always enjoyed ESPN for like a lot of their weird foreign sports like rally racing, strongman competitions. And then, like, you'd sometimes get, like, on the weekends, you would watch ESPN2, so you get, like, X Games type of stuff for fishing and hunting and stuff. And
did you watch fishing shows?
Yeah, sometimes I'd watch fishing shows.
What is...
You just watch a guy on a boat.
I know, he just sits around on a boat. Do they even talk about things?
Or they talk about fishing. It's basically what we should be doing. I mean, since we're already drinking, we could just be on a boat and just be like 4 hours and get nothing done.
Talk about fishing.
We would just talk about we would talk about anything else like anime or apartments in Tokyo.
Is that a big draw to the on ESPN? Is the old men talking about anime while they're fishing?
Well, you know what? I mean, a lot of those older guys, I would say yes, because it appeals to the older boomers. Because those are the same people that are still paying for cable.
See, we've got to wait for 20 years, and then we can do two old guys in a boat fishing and talking about anime, the YouTube series. And it'll just be... But we're not old enough for it to be endearing the way it would be if we had more gray hair.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like the Red Green Show.
No, we'd have another boat with a camera op. It would just be the two of us on a boat. I'd be complaining about how much I hate fishing and I don't want to be fishing. And then you'd be like, yeah, but Brendan, did you see
Boku no Pico.
Boku no Pico? Terrible.
What you got there, Brendan? You got braid? You got braid? Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means.
It's the type of line. Like they've got like, I think it's like 3 different types of line primarily that it's used for fishing based upon what type of situation, water depth, time of year, stuff like that. There's mono, there's braid, and then there's, I forget what the other one is.
Well, so do you think that Disney's going to pull themselves out of financial ruin, or are they just pumping the brakes on the inevitable brick wall of destruction that they're careening towards?
At this rate, I don't know if they're going to, because they are still spending extravagant amounts of money, and
another massive failure with the Marvels.
Yeah, which is supposedly at like, what was it, 84% fresh or something.
But that doesn't, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean anything.
I know.
Half the time, the numbers don't even add up to what the review is.
And I would also say that Captain Marvel, they were cooking the books on that one in terms of how much it actually made. Because I'm like, I'm sorry, no. Unless they change gear, the way that they're handling things, like you can't, the parks, the situation with the parks and how much money they make off of it just shows you how basically it was sink or swim with the parks. Star Wars and more so Marvel really helped buoy their film unit, but now that those are, in the case of Star Wars, that's dead. And the Marvel stuff is just kind of like on life support. They've really got nothing else coming in through the coffers other than the parks themselves. So, and they had this new like Jollywood Nights or whatever thing at MG or Hollywood Studios for like $100 and some dollars, this special thing where people could go in and stuff, and it was a complete disaster, and it was just they're just kind of nickel and diming everybody and stuff, and they've really at this point priced out definitely the lower class, and like the lower middle and like the middle class now are kind of pretty much being priced outward, and the upper middle class are kind of going like let's go and do something else.
The problem, I was going to say, the problem is that if you're pricing out the middle class, then I don't know that there's enough people that are willing to spend the money to maintain those parks. It's like It seems like the middle class was the bread and butter of that stuff.
It was, yeah.
The like high class, upper class people are not going to Disney. They're going to Hawaii or to Europe or to, you know what I mean? They're doing...
Or what a lot of them are doing now is that they're kind of doing like the Disney cruises and stuff, which are actually really good. My mom and brother went on one of them.
Cruises are...
I know. But which is funny because people were all like, when Eisner was in charge of the company, they're all saying like how it was a crazy idea. And now they're going up to like, I think 6 ships or something like that. And they're doing fantastic with it. So it's just like...
Would you ever go on a cruise?
I have thought about
family cruise.
Not a family one, but I've thought about... I've discussed this with Erica where I was saying I would maybe one day like to go and do one of those Viking river cruises through like Germany, where you get on like a boat and like like a northwestern part of Germany and take like a boat ride through like the Rhine River and stuff, and you stop off at like towns every day. So it's just basically
Viking
I think they're called Viking river cruises. Yeah, they operate various parts of the world, primarily Europe, but then they've got a bunch I think in like in Asia and stuff. And they definitely cater more towards the boomers. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. And you sort of just travel, eat, drink, stuff like that. her parents took one of them, and they really enjoyed it. So,
well, this definitely seems more. Yeah, I mean,
there's
this is
stuff
a
to
much
see
more,
other than just ocean. Which,
well, it's also more modest in terms of the ship. You're not. This isn't like I feel like most of those major cruise ships are just floating malls and amusement parks,
miniature cities.
Yeah, so this just seems more approachable. But even still, I was like, I'd rather just drive through the cities.
Yeah, and that's kind of like having gone Hawaii's. I mean, I would say Hawaii is kind of like its own, even though it's a U.S. state. It's kind of like its own country. And when we went there, it was kind of fun, just kind of doing our own itinerary they would do.
Right.
And then when we were in Japan, it's definitely more like, hey, let's go and do this, let's go and do that, instead of just being on a set schedule. But I'd be open to the idea. I just kind of want to just drink German beer and eat German sausage and pretzels and shit, and just haul my drunken ass onto a boat and be like, so next stop tomorrow.
See, or you could just go to Germany and then go back to the hotel after you guys had. I
can do it here.
I don't quite get. Well, there's that too. That's you can do it in your town.
Yeah, but my kids are here, so this would be like this river cruise thing would be like when they're like older.
I know.
Okay,
I got you.
Cool.
Speaking of the disappointments of Disney, Alex.
Yeah,
well, I guess it's not. Just speaking of disappointment
in general
from childhood memories. Mm-hmm. You informed me of this grave news.
Sad day, man.
The show is over for Munch's Make Believe Band at all Chuck E. Cheese locations but one. This is pretty devastating information, especially since up until now, I had wanted to take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese,
which we don't have one here in Champaign.
No, that you don't. I don't.
We don't have a lot of stuff for small kids here in town.
You don't have anything for children to do.
We had a children's museum, which I don't know anybody who ever took their kids to it.
You have to drive like 20 miles or 20 minutes to get. I don't know. It's more than that. The children's museum. I felt like. Didn't you go to one?
I was in Bloomington.
Yes, you had to drive like an hour.
Yeah, we had to drive out to Bloomington, which is like close, almost an hour away and stuff. But that place was fantastic. Like, I felt like Bloomington is more like, it just seems like it has better stuff than Champaign, quite frankly. And it's more on par, I feel, with like the Chicago suburbs and stuff.
Okay, so here's what I mean about the place where you've chosen to call home. You type in things to do with kids in Champaign-Urbana, Pumpkin Patch,
which we did,
the Virginia Theater, the public library, some fucking plot of land.
Meadowbrook's all right, but it's also got
park.
Like a place. It's a park. Yeah, that's the thing.
Alex, it's your backyard. It's just a bigger version of your backyard. It doesn't count.
A terrible football team.
This is a football show. Spurlock Museum.
I took Nicholas there, and he was just like, meh.
Yeah, well, this isn't for kids. What are kids going to do? Oh, I can't wait to read about. Speaking of this, did you see there was that teacher in Florida that got fired or had to resign because she showed a 6th grade class a photo of Michelangelo's David? How come our country is split into like such absurd opposites? Where you've got one side who wants to show hardcore porn to kids, and then you've got another side that's afraid of Michelangelo's David being shown to 10 and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but I just saw that article today, and I was like, this is bizarre. Anyway, back to all the fun places to take your toddlers.
Lack of anything.
Urbana Public Library, so another library.
Urbana,
because we had the Champaign Library, now we've got the Urbana Library. The Arboretum, State Farm Center,
where U of I's basketball. Both of those this Memorial Stadium. Yeah, it's a university where the university plays sports.
Another park.
Hessel Park.
Campus.
Campus.
Another park. Another park. Another park. Ooh, what's this? Oh, it's an escape game.
Oh.
There's one thing. There's one thing that's fun in Champaign-Urbana.
Marketplace shopping center. Okay, first of all, one, that's not Marketplace Mall. Two, Marketplaces where they have shootings every so often.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Every so often, as in multiple times, there's been shootings at...
more often than you would have at a normal mall, I would say.
I don't know, is it an American mall?
But, yeah, so Chuck E. Cheese, the company that owns Chuck E. Cheese, is going to be getting rid of all of their animatronic shows, apart from one location in California. And I guess Chuck E. Cheese, there was another competitor which I preferred when I was a kid called Showbiz Pizza, the Rockafire Express.
Well, it was regional. It wasn't really a competitor.
Yeah, it was kind of like Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, I suppose, or Rallies and Checkers. And these are the ones, probably other ones, but these were the best known ones, which is where the whole Five Nights at Freddy's type of concept came from and such like that. So I guess the idea is that the band is that I guess it had something to do with like operating costs and also interest in an animatronic band that's unfortunately in current year is not on par with other animatronics.
But see, I would argue that is wrong. When
I
you look at
agree. I mean, I think
when you look at the Five Nights at Freddy's audience, it's not boomers, it's not millennials, it's zoomers. And younger. So I feel like if anything, Chuck E. Cheese has missed an opportunity to really lean into this and say, you went to see the movie, now check out the real thing. And then it's like especially during Halloween, spooky music, and then
do
it
a spooky overlay, man.
Cuts to the mouse being like, "Hey kids, I'm not spooky. I'm a mouse. I love you." And like, I don't know, do something fun with it. Do something interesting, and not just throwing them out. Just seems like such a waste. They're gonna end up in somebody's garage now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what they're gonna replace in that section in the restaurants. I'll probably just put up some sheetrock and just call it a day. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I also kind of wonder like if they were still somewhat popular at Chuck E. Cheese's that people would actually go there and watch, other than just playing skee ball and whatever crummy ticket machine games that they had at this point.
So you've got to go to the Northridge location to see. I would not be surprised if they throw them all out, then it's over. But I wouldn't be surprised if fan pressure leads to these coming back in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are they going to do? Replace it with actual performers? That costs even more money.
They'll probably they'll just board it up and just
it'll be
or just a screen,
TV screens.
Yeah.
I'll be the animated Chuck E. Cheese people.
Yeah,
which are always disturbing looking.
Yeah, yeah. When they did that in the '90s, and they made like Chuck E. Cheese like some sort of like inline skater looking guy, I was just like,
it was super cool, Alex. It was cool, Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese's with great games, great pizza, great prizes. It's great fun.
How cool is that?
I always thought Showbiz Pizza was better.
Well, Showbiz Pizza didn't have much of a media presence. It was just you went and had your birthday party there, but it wasn't something that had the
fanfare.
The fanfare, no.
Yeah, it was a dive bar for kids.
It was a dive bar for kids. It's a pretty good description. I mean, famously, it's the Hellfire Group. What's the name of the band?
Rockafire Express.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rockafire Express.
Mm-hmm. They were beautiful.
Yeah, and so like, there's the guy. This must be the guy who has him in his basement.
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry, Rockafire Explosion.
Rockafire Explosion, the Express. So, okay, so this is it, yeah. But, like, you never had these characters never showed up as animation characters. You know what I mean? Like there was no.
They were just animatronics.
They were just these animatronic things. Very weird. I remember this guy. And then furries are doing weird shit with them.
Yeah, you know that they're gonna get their grubby mitts in on things.
I mean, yeah, it was a much more quaint, innocent time when we were kids, and nobody was trying to fuck the Rock of Fire explosion.
Yeah, yeah. Although the cheerleader with the pom poms.
Alex was trying to fuck.
You know, she was a mouse, but she wasn't
lifting up her skirt.
She was not. She wasn't Gadget from Rescue Rangers. I would much rather take Gadget in her Dickies coveralls, work suit. The gorilla was hot fire on the keyboards. Yeah, he would definitely be like something for the Zoomers because they'll be like, "Oh man, check out the gorilla on the MIDI."
But yeah, I think that's a tragedy. It's another element of our youth that is being thrown into the garbage. But what else is new? They can't help themselves but throw away all the fun stuff. And and again, what are they going to replace this with? Realistically, the only thing I could see them saying, the only thing that I would accept from them is saying, all these animatronics are old. The people who know how to fix them are retiring
Or dead.
And we will begin phasing them out when they break. We're going to keep them all, but when they break and no one knows what to do, that's when we'll begin implementing phase 2 or 3 of Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's like operating costs and upkeep aren't justified by the amount of foot traffic that comes through there anymore.
I mean, like I said, I wanted to take your kids there and see what it's like these days, but because they don't let adults in alone. So I was hoping that we would have had an opportunity to check it out. Although maybe sometime we'll all take a trip and go to Chuck E. Cheese and see what they've replaced them with. Speaking of millennials being sad about their childhoods dying,
like Chuck E. Cheese.
Like Chuck E. Cheese. There's an article here. This is a reference to a Wired article, but this is coming from Business Insider.
Oh.
Millennials, it's okay to mourn the death of social media.
She's slobbering on that? Or drooling?
I guess she is. That's
like the way sometimes you like drool.
Oh, she's supposed to be crying. It's tears. Well, I mean, it's more likely that it's drooling, but I think that's supposed to be tears. I think this is kind of silly. So in Wire, this is the original article. In Wired, somebody wrote an article that people are leaving social media in droves. It's all X/Twitter sucks now. Although it's funny because I just saw a report that X is starting to post profits from their checkmark fiasco, and it now accounts for 25% of their revenue is subscriptions.
To be quite frank, ever since Rocket Man took over, I really don't feel much of a difference, quite frankly. I mean, other than the name rebranding and some like the whole blue check, like it's still a bunch of people posting stupid, idiotic things on there.
Yeah, I don't use it enough anymore for it to really matter.
I just lurk. I mean, if that's still a term that's utilized on the internet anymore.
Lurk more, Alex.
Not less, but more.
In Wired, Jason Parham writes about how first-gen social media users have nowhere to go. Indeed, millennials have soured on the big social platforms. Facebook, Twitter, and even Instagram feel dead. There's a lot of ways to feel about this. Maybe relief, maybe anger at the companies who mess things up. But Parham made me feel something else, or something different. Sad. Aww. He points out that first-gen users, like me, were part of a golden age of connectivity, And for those years, it was really exciting, or it really was exciting. I keep assuming. He writes, millennials are the last of the analog world, both of yesterday and tomorrow, the bridge between what was and what will be. Maybe this is where my hesitation takes root, and why it feels like there are no good apps left for socializing the way we used to. We came of age on a diet of chat rooms and MySpace. Our expression was devoutly digital. We signed up en masse because what we sought in the next frontier of adulthood we slowly realized was being actualized online. Friendster, Blogger, Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook were where we found community, honed our creative urges, and secured careers. In time, we used social media to remake civic life. I'm sad the golden age is over, and I'm not sure we'll ever experience anything like it again. I think that is a very flowery way to say that
The internet sucks now?
well, no, that social media sucks, and that none of this was good. None of it was good. For society. The only time social media had any sort of cultural relevance in a positive was the very early days of Facebook and MySpace, primarily Facebook when it was for college students.
Only.
And it was extremely niche. And MySpace then was the more public version of that, but it was still very insular, and you had your top 10 people like we talked about last week.
With Facebook, because you were able to get into Facebook because you were still in school, right? Because you still had a university email, weren't you?
Well, yeah, but we were still in school when Facebook was out. Yes, we were. I was on Facebook like before I was on MySpace.
Okay, I was the reverse.
Like I got on Facebook, thought it was lame as hell, and somebody said you should use MySpace instead. So I did that.
I didn't get on Facebook until like 2008, but I was on MySpace before that.
Homie, 2008.
Yeah.
Come on now. When did Facebook go public? I think we've talked about this before. Facebook was founded in 2004. And so let's see. Yeah, I think I was probably on 2004, 2005.
Okay. I never got in there until I was still on MySpace because I felt like MySpace was more geared towards like MySpace never really had the
still
whole
in college in 2008. You crazy person.
No. When you still needed to use before they opened the gates to everybody. Right. I thought you were still in college like 2006 and 2007.
That would have been 6 years after we graduated high school, Alex.
I know, but I'm just saying, when did you graduate college?
2000. I think it was 2006, actually. Now that you say it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was meaning.
But no, I was on it early. Anyway, point is that everything after this, Tumblr, Twitter,
Snapchat,
TikTok,
Instagram, Vine. You kids remember Vine?
I do remember Vine.
It's just TikTok. It was just TikTok before TikTok.
These were all terrible things for society, and I hope that social media is dying. I hope that this kind of connectivity is going away, and that the fad of social media will just be looked back as this awkward era where people didn't know what to do with the interlinking of the internet that the internet provided, and now we're like, "Ooh, that was a terrible idea. Let's never do that again." I don't think that we're that lucky. First of all, second of all, to do any sort of like mourning over Facebook and Twitter, I think is very foolish.
MySpace is acceptable, quite frankly.
Well, MySpace died relatively quickly
before it became the villain.
It kind of did.
Because what was nice about MySpace is that it never went to that. It never had that ushering in of an era where everybody's parents and grandparents started coming on there, like Facebook, which I feel like that is the reason why Facebook got really unpopular with our generation.
Oh yeah.
And then what was interesting is that a lot of people that of our generation that were on MySpace and then maybe went over to Facebook. They ended up all migrating. They skipped Tumblr and all that other junk primarily. They ended up going to LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is like the professional adult millennial version of kind of like, because it is a type of social media, but it's more of a professional geared type of thing. Because a lot of people you can find on one or the other, like you can kind of find them on LinkedIn in a sense if they have that.
I was shocked to discover that people post on LinkedIn. I thought LinkedIn was just kind of a, here's my profile. If you want to offer me a job, or I'm going to market myself as a freelancer or stuff like that. I didn't realize that people actually posted to the timeline. So I hadn't looked at LinkedIn in years. I mentioned this. The only reason I got a LinkedIn was because of COVID. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get laid off over the next couple of months, I really need to probably pay attention to this.
Spruce up on my resume and all that.
I made an account,
connections and stuff.
Never looked at it again. I get like emails saying, old coworker wants to connect. I'm just like, I don't fucking care.
Verify your email address for us.
I'm not gonna. I don't need another social account. Although the one thing I do agree is that, and you were just kind of saying it before, that you're just kind of lurking on Twitter now.
I collect memes off there, you know it.
My disinterest in Twitter has started long before Musk took over. It was more just that, well, it started with when Tumblr closed, and there was an influx of a certain type of person that was never that prevalent on Twitter prior to Tumblr closing. So the ex-Tumblr influx kind of made it less appealing to me. And then it just turned into this weird, like, especially 2016, it just turned into like a weird political argument, the eternal political argument going on that I had
still to this day.
Yeah, and that hasn't changed. That's so that's where I kind of, and then like let's say 2020, it got even like I don't know, like February of March of 2020, it really started taking off for being a weird, obnoxious website. This is all pre-Musk.
Yeah, so. What's interesting is that like a lot of the people, like you were saying, the people that came over from Tumblr went over to Twitter. And I mentioned before this where the precursor to TikTok was Vine. And I remember when Vine went under, a lot of those people, since they were doing a lot of video stuff, they didn't really go to Twitter because you couldn't do that. So they ended up migrating over to YouTube. And that created a whole new basket of problems for YouTube, which you can kind of make an argument and say that that's definitely like some form of like social media also, because a lot of people utilize that as like personal blogs, opinion videos, discussions that they have where they'll have like, like we're doing like off of Skype or Zoom now, or, Google, and they do discussions and different things like that. And there was a big problem where a lot of people that were on YouTube for a number of years, we're seeing these newcomers try to go in there. I mean, Logan Paul and,
wasn't Logan Paul one of those? Well, that's sorry. So once again, one platform that's sort of like a containment platform closes, and all of the garbage from that platform.
And you kind of need those
influx.
Yeah, you kind of need some of that gatekeeping containment sites, because now the problem is like, considering how big TikTok is, and if that thing ever goes belly up, or the U.S. ends up, finally banning or whatever, where are those people going? Very good chance they're going to go probably to YouTube.
I know everyone's going to go to YouTube because it's the only platform that can continue to host all of this content. I don't see TikTok closing on their own. I would not be surprised if eventually the U.S. government does block it. I mean, some was it Finland? Somebody just blocked TikTok because of security risks. Because it's a vector for the fucking CCP. But you say it out loud and people look at you like you're crazy. I swear it was Finland. Maybe not.
Somebody in the Baltics. Somebody in Europe.
Oh wait. You know what? Yeah. Nepal. Nepal bans TikTok because of disruption to social harmony. That sounds like something the Nepalese would say.
Yeah, very, very Zen Buddhist. Like, no, Nepal is definitely not Sweden or Finland.
Sorry,
But it does. I
things.
do feel like it was somebody not Nepal that did this.
Considering how TikTok is disrupting our social harmony and the impact it's having on our family and social structures, the cabinet has decided to ban TikTok for the moment. Rekha Sharma, Nepal's Minister of Communication and Information Technology, told the press co. Cool. Based in Nepal.
First and last time somebody's ever going to say that. But I also feel like what was the other thing? Like Instagram, because Instagram is just built in with Facebook and the whole meta thing, and Facebook's created Threads, which I don't know how that's doing and stuff like that. But Snapchat's also another one of those, which I feel Snapchat's kind of just surviving there somehow.
See, and I've used well, aside from Threads, I've used like pretty much every major social media account.
Oh, Truth Social user, I see.
Okay.
Or Mastodon. What's the other one? Mastodon was the other one.
I said major.
Yeah,
But
Truth Social.
I used Snapchat for a long time. Well, not for a couple of years. I was using Snapchat. But then it was just more, it was like Instagram stories are what killed that for me, because I liked Instagram because I was into photography and I was doing photography stuff. One of the things that I hated about Instagram as time went on was that when it first started, I felt like it was very much focused on cell phone photos, like for photographers or amateur photographers or whatever. But then as soon as they let you start uploading your own, because at one point you had to take the picture with the app. You couldn't add a photo. And once you were allowed to add photos, people started uploading all kinds of shit. So it would be DSLR photos or film photography or whatever. And then at that point, it kind of changed the landscape of what I thought the app was originally trying to do, which was to show off built-in cell phone photography, where it's like you're working with a limited toolkit. Once they made it open to uploading whatever you wanted, it was kind of like, well, it's fucking boring. It's not. It's not fun. I liked working with the limitations of it.
Yeah, I think it also, a lot of those is you kind of, in many cases, like in my case, like Facebook, you kind of just wake up one day and you kind of go on there and you're just like, I've lost all interest in this and I really don't see a point to keep using it. And you just kind of like, all right, whatever. And a couple months ago, I kind of logged into Facebook for the first time since like 2016. And I took a look at what it was, and I was like, same shit, different day. It's just like, but everybody's posting pictures of their kids now because they have kids or something.
I had a fake Facebook account because of Tinder. Because at one point Tinder required you to have a Facebook account, and so I had it. It wasn't even the right name.
Yeah,
and so it was my middle name instead of my last name.
Okay. And
so I was, but then it switched over where you didn't have to do that anymore. So I killed that account too. Facebook got lame to me because it turned into it was too many people. Too many people,
and like you were saying just now with the Tinder thing, it's like it got way too intrusive across the entire internet, where it was like, hey, if you want to create a profile here, or if you want to log into this website, why don't you go in through your Facebook login? It's like, well, why do I need to?
Can't I just use my email address, please?
Yeah, and there was a bunch of them where like you couldn't even do that. Like it did not give you the options. Like you had to go through either your Facebook or your Twitter or some third thing. And I was like, I'm gonna just not even bother with you then.
Yeah, I hate linking accounts like that.
Yeah, because it's just data collection.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. That's why my main email address, I finally moved away from Google completely to independent company, paid email. It's not Hotmail, it's not Yahoo, it's not Google. It's its own thing. So, Alex asked if I had heard about this today, and we decided that we needed to talk about it because I'm very confused.
The topic is definitely old school Culture Doom, old school previous podcast of our iterations, and it's really going along the lines of like, remember the suicide pods, that type of thing. Like this is like dystopian future and stuff like that.
So what is this? What am I looking at here?
So there is a it's you could probably find this at Target, which is where people have found out about this stuff. And it's this company called Frida, and they do like a whole pregnancy fertility prep type of product line.
So this is ovulation and pregnancy test.
Yeah, they do pregnancy tests, fertility, ovulation stuff. They do supplementals for both him and her to get your body producing the proper, chemicals and everything
Preconception
like that. Yeah.
Pills. I don't know that this seems kind of like a racket to me, but okay.
Well, I know like when Erica was pregnant, or like her doctor was telling her to take stuff after she had already conceived and stuff like folic acid and certain types of vitamins and stuff. I don't remember. I was never told anything about male stuff, so I'm like, take it with a grain of salt. The thing that everybody has noticed about this line, and you can find this at Target supposedly, is the self-insemination kit for women.
Excuse me?
Yes, right there. That syringe with the little sperm floating past it. That's the self-insemination at-home kit.
You said this is at Target?
Yes. The at-home self-insemination kit. Oh, and you can get a Black Friday sale, apparently.
They also have a C-section kit that you can. So let's just do
Or it might be
insemination. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
So wait a second. Oh, I can get it at
Wilson Yard.
Oh, it's not sold there, but I can get it tomorrow.
You can get it tomorrow.
It can be shipped.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest
Target
to me. Yes.
So,
did they really need to make it obviously full of cum like that?
It's probably
they just have like
hand soap.
Blue liquid.
That's for tampons and panty
Speaking
liners,
of hand soap,
yes.
Alex, sometimes when I'm like washing my hands with hand soap, I look at it in my hand and I go, "Saiteda." I don't even quite understand what this is supposed to be.
So I guess the concept is that you can have a sperm donor donate into the cup, and then you will take the special syringe to suck it out and then be able to self-inseminate yourself. Very similar to, as you can tell there, very similar to how they do that artificial insemination for like livestock and things like that.
That's not insulting at all, Alex.
No, well, stuff like that. Not my word.
And
theirs.
Stuff like that.
So yeah, that's.
I like how it's like this is the action pose.
That's what you're going to see, ladies. That's
because she's got the one leg up closer. This is a thing. This is a move.
This is a real thing. We're here at Society. We built pyramids, aqueducts, and light bulbs. And the steam engine, and here we are now. The self-insemination. This is very Demolition Man like. Although you had to go to an actual medical facility to do that. But yeah.
But what does this do differently? That's a lot of cum, incidentally. But incidentally, what what does this?
I think it's basically a way for them to circumnavigate the whole medical cost barrier for artificial insemination.
But realistically, you could get any kind of
turkey
syringe. Well, I was going to say
eyedropper,
but yes, anything to do this.
Well, this makes it look kind of like it's
medical,
official medical. Yeah, I guess.
But you don't need that. I'm just saying you You don't need to do it this way.
Who's the target audience?
You tell me. I don't know. I don't have kids.
I mean, we have
You
to
sure
use the
know a
old-fashioned
lot
way.
about. I was gonna say you sure know a lot about this, and you have 2 kids too.
We did not utilize those. That's for sure. I have my own built-in unit. Bum, bum, bum. I just love the way that it's very, like, when she's just sucking it out of the donor cup. It's just very...
That's a lot of
like,
cum.
there's a lot of stuff that could just kind of find its way in there. And
This
you know.
is like, I mean, I'm just saying, this is like a few days of edging to get to this.
to get the boys all nicely
Am I
riled
wrong?
up and go.
Am I wrong? That
No.
just seems like a lot of cum to me.
I mean, especially when you take a look, and she's already got the syringe
That's what
itself
I mean.
pretty well.
So
I
take
feel like
that, take that and double it.
I kind of feel like it's maybe a couple of guys that went in there, and she's just like, we're just spinning the wheel of destiny.
It's the lottery. Not
Yeah.
the-
So yeah, so basically it's kind of like, I guess the concept is like, instead of actually having sex, you just have a guy in a room, just right into it, and then you just, instead of being like, we're just going to skip all the fun stuff.
Now for the grand finale of Frida's line. An at-home insemination kit retails for only $50. $50 for a Tupperware cup and a syringe.
Mm-hmm.
It has everything you need if your family is working with a sperm donor or your partner experiences performance anxiety while trying to conceive. Again,
Wait until your partner is going to have to change diapers and vomit. And wake up in the middle of the night and feed the kid.
I was like, Alex, if your partner has to change diapers, he's way too young to have sex with. But do you understand?
Yes. Not his diaper. But
It's just, the English is a funny
But
language.
it's funny because a lot of times a sperm donor, it's more like you would have to go to a clinic, and from my understanding is like you would peruse the menu, supposedly, of the donors and look and be like,
It comes with a slanted sperm collection cup to catch everything right in there, and 2 applicators for simple and effective insertion of the sample into the cervix. Well, not into the cervix, at the cervix, let's say. If you're putting it into the cervix, that's going to be a painful... I've seen that in my dojinshis, but I don't think that's actually very realistic. No kitchen tools whatsoever involved. No turkey basters.
even though it's just as good. And it can hold lots more volume.
Well, I was going to say, based on the amount of volume they're dealing with there.
They should have just gone with it. Yeah, so it's just interesting that would be something that's kind of at this point over the counter. But it's also kind of weird how they just have a sperm donor that's like some guy off the street, Dirty Larry comes in, but like, we need you to blow your
Dirty
load into
Larry,
this cup, and it's like,
cousins
all right.
with Dirty Harry. I don't understand. Well, it's more like it has a 4.6, has 3.9 stars out of 5 on Target
Pretty.
with 200 reviews.
Somebody say, it's great, it's everything we needed. A friend of ours was once asked me and Erica our opinion about him, if he should or shouldn't be a donor for a lesbian couple.
What'd you say?
Well, I said it's kind of like, it would be kind of like the whole thing about like, well, do you want to... He wasn't quite certain about like how he would go about with any type of relationship with a kid. And I'm like, well, it would be like, yes, you're the biological father, but since you're basically like a donor,
Right.
it's kind of going to be weird to be like trying to have a relationship with the kid.
Well, you shouldn't have a relationship.
Yeah, because you're just,
You're just there to take a sample.
Basically, it's kind of like you're a donor but who's going to be taking your donation in a sense. So it's kind of like that weird. I don't think I asked him a few years later. I was just like, whatever happened is like, oh, nothing ended up happening with it. They didn't.
Well, that's good. I would never do that because I would want. If I have a child, I would want some kind of relationship with them, and that's not what that's about. So
yeah.
Alex, speaking of man-made horrors beyond our comprehension, we sat down and continued our bizarre Ghibli series
For some weird reason. I don't know why.
We're not intending on doing.
No.
But we sat down and watched Howl's Moving Castle.
That is correct.
Which is a film that I had started back in 2008, I think, when this came out.
Mm-hmm.
And you just watched with your child. Because did he put it on or did you put it on?
I decided to go and put it on because I was like, it was something in my mind because usually on weekends, like Saturday, Sunday, I'm like, hey, let's go and watch some cartoons. Instead of like trying to do like some sort of like Saturday morning cartoon thing. Yeah. And, sorry. I wanted to watch some anime, and I started watching another episode of Akiba Maid War. And I was like, okay, well, neither of these guys are really into it. And I'm like, I kind of want to follow the storyline, even though it's meh. So I was like, okay, Howl's Moving Castle, because I'm like, it's another Ghibli film. They will sit and watch Ghibli films. Let's try this out. And they watched they're pretty receptive for the first like half hour of the film, maybe 45 minutes. And then they were just like, I'm going to go and play with the train set. I'm going to go and Nicholas is like, I'm going to start coloring and stuff like that and not paying attention. So I was just like, I guess Dad's just going to watch the movie then and do dishes, fold laundry.
These are kids who have fun watching My Neighbor Totoro with no.
They love Totoro. No they've watched Spirited Away. They do pretty good. I haven't introduced them to Mononoke yet.
It's a little violent for their age.
Yeah.
Maybe like 10, I think it would be okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you kind of have to pick or choose. Nicholas might like Cagliostro. It just, it's
you could try Castle in the Sky. Is kind of a more boring film.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's probably why we did do Castle in the Sky about the same time, and then they just kind of, I don't know if they pieced out or I pieced out or something like that.
I have a tough time with that film, to be completely honest. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned that, I kind of feel it's kind of like a spiritual cousin to this movie, sort of like in the world that it's exists in and it's created. Like, there's definitely several types of worlds that Miyazaki has created. There's like I guess you would call it the more medieval type of universe that exists where you kind of have like Mononoke and you have Senua's Journey, and you can kind of say maybe Nausicaa, but Nausicaa also has like some limited types of technology and stuff compared to those. Earthsea would be kind of another thing I would kind of group in that category. Howl's Moving Castle and Castle in the Sky kind of are this steampunky 1920s sort of universe, and then you have
Western European,
yeah, like nondescript, like art style, architecture, and things like that. And then you have things like Spirited Away or Ponyo, and Wind Rises that are actually kind of based in like the real world, I guess you would kind of say that, or a realistic world. But this is a story that takes place in this steampunky type of universe where there's two countries that are at war with each other, and they are trying to utilize magic to try to one-up each other by getting wizards and witches to come on their sides. This young girl, Sophie, has a run-in with one of these witches that ends up cursing her, making her an old woman and such, and she has to try to figure out how to get this curse off of her, which leads her to this magician called Howl that's kind of caught up in this war, and he's trying to do his best to try to end this war the best he could in a sense. And this moving castle is just this giant automaton sort of machine that's able to have him journey between both countries, and then two other type of worlds.
Oh no, it's also to
like that.
hide him from the Witch of the Waste.
The Witch of the Way. Yeah, which is
Oh no! Sorry, not her. The other his mentor.
yeah,
That's what he says, is that she can't find us as long as we're using the moving castle thing.
who's like the advisor or head sorceress for one of the kings and stuff like that.
Madam something, Madam L something. We should probably always have a list of characters.
Witch of the Waste.
Madam Suleiman.
Suleiman.
Yeah. Who is kind of a hot old lady. I'm just gonna give her a credit where credit's due. She's like mean grandma, not mean mommy. It's mean Grammy.
Gilf.
It's like Helen Mirren would play her in the live action adaptation.
Oh yeah, hell man. Young Diana Rigg.
I don't know who Diana Rigg is. Do I?
Look up Diana Rigg.
RIGG?
Yeah. Young Diana Rigg in the what was that show? That's what I was picturing.
The Avengers?
The Avengers, yes.
Oh, it is called The Avengers.
Emma Peel. She played Emma Peel.
That is so funny that I could, just looking at that, I've never seen The Avengers. This is a TV show. Isn't it British, I think?
Yes.
An old British TV show. I knew that Avengers before I knew the Marvel Avengers. But just looking at that outfit and that gun and her hair, I was like, oh, is it The Avengers?
Yeah.
Anyway. So there's stuff going on with that's basically the premise of it's another very loose plot movie. So the first time I watched this movie in 2000, let me double check, 2004. So maybe 2005.
So about around the relative time it got released.
I remember watching it on DVD. I rented the DVD with a mutual acquaintance of ours, and we were sitting there watching it, and we watched about an hour of it, and I said, I'm not into this. And he said, I'm not either. I was like, well, we're going to play Halo 2, you know? And I started watching it last night. I got about an hour in, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm going to just finish this tomorrow because I'd rather take a bath.
And that's what the boys were kind of like I said, a half hour, 45 minutes, and they were just like, meh. And then Dad's, attention span's a bit longer, and I was like, after an hour, I'm just like, what exactly is happening? Like, what's going to get resolved in this movie? And then you're like looking at the runtime, you're like, oh my God, I have how much left?
I mean, I would look at this movie and say that I've seen since Noshka started this is all Ghibli films, not just Miyazaki, but all of the Ghibli films. I've seen all of these films except like up through Howl. I haven't seen Pompoko yet, or My Neighbor the Yamadas. These are movies by Isao Takahata. But yeah, it's of all of these films, this is clearly the worst. Actually, I'll put it up. I'll put this up through Tales from Earthsea.
Mm-hmm.
Howl's Moving Castle, I thought, was actually just a bad movie. I know that apparently it has its fans. I thought this was always kind of known to be a bad Ghibli film, like a specific outlier for Miyazaki's filmography. But you look online, and IMDb has it like an 8, and Letterboxd is like a 4.9 or something.
And Letterboxd is a 5.0 scale?
Yes.
Oh, geez, wow. Yeah, I think it's... See, here's my opinion. I think it kind of gets that additional bump from people subconsciously just because it's a Miyazaki Ghibli film. Where... like I've said before, like a lot of people think like, oh, something is really great because it's done by Disney, so it gets like that additional Disney, bump and points that artificially inflates.
If you're not can't be too critical of it.
Yeah, and the thing is like I was mentioning, where it's it hits these Ghibli bullet points where it's like it takes place in this nondescript Central European country. It has, this relatable protagonist. It has the Miyazaki, magical things and stuff like that. So once it gets that, people are like, oh, this is going to be a great movie because it's got all this Miyazaki Ghibli stuff I like. And then it's like they sort of forget to really delve into the plot line and the pacing of it and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also it doesn't help. Well, it does. It helps this movie that the last movies that came out from Ghibli Miyazaki films were Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, and then Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, and then Ponyo afterwards.
And so
kind of riding on that whole wave
right.
of stuff.
Mononoke and Spirited Away. I mean, Spirited Away had just won the Academy Award for Best Animated Picture in 2001. So it was, I think you're right, the pedigree of films may have swayed how it was received. I don't remember Ebert being a huge fan of this one either, though, to be honest. I'd have to look it up. But the things, it's funny, though, the things that I look at for a Miyazaki or a Ghibli film aren't really, in my opinion, present in this movie. I thought the character design was oddly grotesque throughout most of this film. Like, the Witch of the Waste is just really gross to look at.
Yeah, where she's like,
film.
like I don't know how to call it. Like,
so lots of loose skin.
Almost like she's like falling apart, melting at times. But also, it's like she looks like somebody who's like even more like obese and then lost a bunch of weight. So then all this like skin is just kind of hanging and stuff. But then she takes the things where she tightens it.
She has two forms in the film, and one of them is this, which I find oddly like fetishistic. She reminds me of the big woman in Resident Evil 8 or 9, whatever it was, the giant woman,
the mask that Schwarzenegger wears in Total Recall.
2 weeks.
Oh, there's that too, yes. But then even when she kind of reverts to like the kindly old woman, this is not appealing.
No.
So in all of her forms, she
gets on the cart that she's wailed on.
Yeah, it's all kind of gross. And then even our protagonist, Miyazaki does this thing with old women where he makes them have really large noses for whatever reason. And it makes kind of an off-putting design. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing when it's a side character like Spirited Away, like the woman, the witch with the giant head and the huge nose. Like, that stuff, whatever.
When Sophie first turned into the old woman, she looked almost like
was that. It Bulbasaur? What's her name? Baba, whatever.
Baba, whatever it was. But she's like hunched over. She's got like she looks almost like, it's not a nose like a beak. It's almost like she's like a bird creature.
Yeah.
But then eventually it's kind of weird because I didn't understand like if during the daytime her age would kind of change. Like at nighttime she went reverted back to like young. Okay. And then during the daytime she would be old, but then like certain times of the day she was less old than other old. Almost like it was cyclical.
So I watched the hour last night, and then I watched the second hour this morning because work was really slow, and I kind of knew it was going to be. So I uninterrupted. I just sat there and watched the film. But at the end of the movie, I was like, where did I miss explaining what the aging curse is? Because she just kind of gets cured by the end of the film, and it's never explained why.
Yeah.
Because everyone keeps saying, I can't cure it. And then I was watching it, and like you're saying, her age kept fluctuating during the film. And I thought to myself, I think that at some point, the animation staff realized that having this old woman as your lead the entire movie wasn't working. And that it just wasn't relatable to the audience, and it wasn't aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Because here in that picture right there, you can tell she's elderly, but she's not like,
she's not
as
this
like
old. Yeah.
Osteoporosis type of. I mean, I don't know how to describe it better, but like.
Well, see, she's older in that. She's older in that than she is here. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. And then at nighttime, it was like Princess Fiona, where like she like reverts back to being. You know?
Apparently, in the book, it's more clear that she is.
So this is an adaptation.
This is an adaptation of a novel, a Western novel.
Okay.
And it becomes clear in that she de-ages when the more she becomes aware of her love of Howl, the more she de-ages and the more the curse weakens. And so that's why it fluctuates.
So the hornier she gets.
The hornier she gets.
The more she craves purchasing that Frida self-insemination kit for only $49.99 at your local neighborhood Target.
She jumps in the bath after Howl gets out.
Oh god, that bathroom, like, that was grotesque.
She's like, why was Howl making egg whites in his bath? The other thing, Howl was not a great thing to look at most of the time when he wasn't human.
It's a mopey emo.
I found the bird stuff to be kind of creepy and weird and off-putting as like just as to look at. It was not. I was not into it. When he was complaining about his hair turning colors, I think where I turned off the movie last night.
Yeah, it's just like you're like you're a whiny little biatch. Stop it. Okay, yeah. Did they? I mean, I tried to follow this as best as I could when I had two kids running around here and stuff. Do they explain like what the castle is? Like this contraption? Is it just like his magical wizard tower that just kind of?
I think it's his magical wizard tower that he uses to remain hidden from that
the witch,
madam whatever,
or his mentor, yeah.
His mentor, and it's powered by
Calcifer, the Billy Crystal, Mike Wazowski.
I didn't. I watched the Japanese. So
okay, I had to watch the dub.
I didn't realize it was Billy Crystal. That's funny. So.
Yeah, I had to. Well, also Christian Bale played Howl. So
yeah, I mean, that's kind of. I can see Billy Crystal as Calcifer.
Yeah, because but I was just like going like, how does this castle go into? Because I understand, like, you know, I like the concept of where you can turn this knob and it takes you to a different location when you open the door, but it's like, what's the story behind the castle and stuff?
The castle like this, I just think is magic, and if we both
that's a fine enough thing.
If we both somehow miss this, feel free to leave a comment calling us idiots, because I'll own it, because I will definitely acknowledge that my attention started to wane through this film.
Yeah,
and
I really liked it the first half hour and stuff like that, like the whole like world, little town and stuff like that. But then
the other major problem I had with it is that by the end of the film, everything just becomes very arbitrary, and there doesn't seem to be any logic left behind. It turns into, okay, there's this war going on that we don't know anything about. Howell's involvement is nebulous itself. I read the wiki article, and it's like he's playing both sides and just kind of like messing with everyone.
Hence the door that allows him to get between both countries.
Didn't get that at all, though. I didn't get that he was just like when he was flying around getting shot at and blowing up ships. I didn't realize it was I thought he was like a weapon of war for one side, that he wasn't just screwing with people, which is weird. But he so there's that. Then they introduced time travel weirdly in the last 15 minutes of the film. And I had to double check this because I was confused, because at one point he says, "I've been looking for you forever." And that ties into where at the end of the film, she yells at him and is like, I'm looking for you and I love you and I'm going, and then the fucking the dog, even the dog is grotesque in this film.
Yeah.
The character designs are all just really off, besides her when she's young. So there's this weird time travel thing that has nothing to do with anything. Oh, why did we freeze?
Sorry, I don't know. I didn't do anything at all whatsoever.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Good.
Oh, the scarecrow, by the way.
What was that all about? And
I
then,
don't know.
Because then it turns into, I'm going to end the war. Oh, I'm going to end the war too. Let's all just end the war for no reason.
Yeah. Well, the scarecrow was like a prince from one of the countries that was like missing, and like he got turned into a scarecrow because
I don't even think it was the Witch of the Waste who did that one.
They never. I don't think they really mentioned who it was, and if they do, it's just like, why even bother mentioning it?
There's so much information in the last 5 minutes of the film. It's like, we're going to end the war. We're also the Scarecrow was actually a human, and now he's back to being human because you kissed him, but you don't like him, so he's going to go back to his home country and end the war because now he doesn't know what to do with himself. Also, the dog is spying on us and now is telling the other country to end the war, so they're going to end the war too. Also, Howl is back. He's fine. He got his heart back. Oh, it's fine that you threw water on me, even though I said it was going to kill me because I'm fire. Oh, what was up with the Witch of the Waste becoming a weirdo and setting herself on fire? What was that?
Because she wanted to end the war.
No, she wanted the heart for herself. She wanted Howl's heart. It was.
I mean, I was just. That's my guess. I'm like, everybody else wanted to.
No, it was the end of the film is very strange. And I actually, after the movie was over, I said out loud, "What a bizarre movie." And I have a theory, incidentally.
What's the theory?
I think that the reason that Miyazaki was so hard on Goro for Tales from Earthsea is that Tales from Earthsea is a bad movie, and it's better than this. That Hayao Miyazaki, the great Hayao Miyazaki, made a bad movie. Like, this is an absolutely irredeemable disaster. Narratively, animation, character design. Speaking of animation, the animation of the castle is weird and awkward.
Is
and
it just CG?
It looks like they discovered the distort tool in Photoshop. And they're just like dragging it and making it into this awkward digital animation of like just distorting.
Yeah, because if that's what they were trying to do with like trying to make this cobbled together castle, which reminded me of TikTok from Return to Oz, where it's like this very, I guess, steam powered kind of like rattly mechanical thing. Like, yeah, okay, but it's like, is this CG? Like, it was. Because there's always the running joke, like Japan cannot into CGI.
No.
So this being a textbook case, it could have been if that was, but maybe you said it might have been that distortion thing.
It was, yeah, it just seemed like they learned how to use some kind of distort tool and then used it to fake animation.
But what's weird is that considering how much of a control freak Miyazaki is, that like if they showed it to him, he'd have been like, yeah, that's fine. Instead of just being like, we need to go back and fix this.
It's weird. It is a weird film. It was shocking to see, honestly. And now it makes me, I kind of want to watch Earwig and the Witch for real. And just to see if Earwig and the Witch is worse than this. Because it's hard for me. I hated this movie. It's one of the worst anime films that I've seen recently. And I'm almost like, I wish I wouldn't have watched it, because then, and the other part that makes it difficult is that we just watched From Up on Poppy Hill, which I thought was a very charming, wonderful movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I, on my own, just watched The Tale of Princess Kaguya and Only Yesterday. And these movies are amazing. These are some of the best that Ghibli has to do. They're better than a lot of Miyazaki's own work. And so I'm coming off of the high of watching those films. And then it's like, whoa, this is really bad. This is shockingly bad for Miyazaki and Ghibli to have released. But, whatever. Miyazaki at his worst is better than me at my best.
Yeah. I kind of was watching this thing and concerning about, like, I had mentioned about like the whole world that it kind of takes place in and stuff like that. I was kind of watching this going, I wonder if this would have worked better if they made this as like a series of like a TV series or series of shorts that are all part of it. That they could be able to like flesh out some stuff better than just trying to compact into a TV show. And did they? I mean, I think they've got like 1 or 2 TV shows, but they really haven't done anything else like a series, right?
They have not done a series. The closest would have been Future Boy Conan, which was a Miyazaki-directed anime before Ghibli existed.
Okay.
But I think that a lot of the people involved with Ghibli, I think Isao Takahata is involved in that, and I think Toshio Suzuki is also involved in that one. So it was the people of Ghibli before Ghibli, sort of like Castle of Cagliostro.
Okay.
But anyway, Alex, is there anything else you wanted to add about your experience watching Howl's Moving Castle?
No, I don't think. For me, I don't think it's gonna be a Ghibli film that I'm going to revisit anytime soon. I might rewatch it again years down the road, but not. It won't be on a regular basis. Definitely not like Totoro here, but also something like Spirited Away or I watched same weekend we watched Kiki's Delivery Service, and I thought it was great. I think it was adorable.
I love Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah, and it was so weird because I'm like, okay, I watched Kiki's, which came out like a decade prior, and then you have this, and it's just like something's happened between this time period.
And it's a smaller story too.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow the characters are more endearing. They're like it's just so much. This movie is overlong for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
My favorite character was actually Markle, the little boy.
Oh, the little assistant boy. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, just because he was almost more of the grounded character besides anyone.
He was the only Miyazaki character in a Miyazaki.
he was spunky and fun and interesting. I wanted to know more about him.
Yeah, how did he come to be the apprentice for Howl and stuff?
It was like he's like, all right, so why does Howl have a little boy assistant? That's never explained. Just curious.
Yeah, that was my thing. I think a little bit. I mean, we don't need that much exposition for a lot of stuff, but I feel like if you've got a 2-hour runtime and you've got the time to be able to kind of expand on certain things, you could have fleshed it out a bit more.
The nature of the war is never explained.
Yeah, they just kind of
like, it's one thing and it's fine for that to be a background element, but just to not even explain what the stakes are is kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you kind of see is like, okay, well, the Scarecrow was some prince that got turned and he's gone missing and stuff, and now he's like going to end the war. It's like, was that the reason? Like they thought one side kidnapped him or did something to him, and that's the purpose for this outbreak of fighting and stuff. It's just like, oh, we're just going to war with, we've always been at war with, Australasia.
So just we didn't miss anything. The turnip head is never, whoever cursed turnip head is not revealed.
Okay.
So
he's just a scarecrow.
He's just somebody turned him into a scarecrow.
Okay.
How many pots of gold, Alex?
I'm gonna give this 2.
What did you give from Up on Poppy Hill?
I think maybe 2.5.
Okay.
I think I gave Earthsea like 1.5.
Yeah, you were
maybe 2, or maybe I gave it 1.5 and you gave Earthsea 2.
I think I gave Earthsea 2. That sounds more. I think that Earthsea is a more coherent film than this.
Yeah.
And more satisfying, even though it's like low budget version of Ghibli, and it's like there's a dragon on the cover, but there's no dragon in the movie until the very, very end. I would give. It pains me to say it, but I give Howl's Moving Castle one pot of gold. One pot of gold for a Hayao Miyazaki film. Even at Miyazaki's weakest, which I'd say like Ponyo kind of is in there, which is more of like it's almost like a Disney film. It's just kind of family friendly, inoffensive, cute. It's still a 3 pot of gold film to me. It's just like it's not Spirited Away. It's not Princess Mononoke. It's certainly no Nausicaa, but it's fun. It's interesting and cool. I hated this movie. I did not. I was so like bored and angry.
So you're never going to get those 2 hours back.
Well, it's different though because it's Miyazaki. It's like I'm not as smart as him. I'm not as talented as him, but I can look at this and say, "What are you doing? This isn't you. This isn't even when he's like going darker, like he did with Porco Rosso. In what year was that? Porco Rosso was 1992, which is a very slow, mature film that he even looks at and says that wasn't a movie for kids. This movie is just so like dull and sullen, and the magic is kind of weak-minded. I don't know. I just was not. Rubbed me the wrong way, and maybe it's a very deeply like personal reaction, but I just
yeah
hated it.
But did you say you ever watched Castle in the Sky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I that's one I'm still there's surprisingly considering how there's movies, and I watched
it's like
Mononoke
it might take you
years
2
ago.
hours to get through these things.
Yeah, it's just the time to sit down and be able to do that.
Nausicaa is definitely my favorite Miyazaki film. It'll be difficult for Ghibli. Ghibli gets a little murky because it's hard to compare Grave of the Fireflies with something by Miyazaki because Grave of the Fireflies is just so devastating. Castle in the Sky or Laputa is I liked it, but I wasn't in like with it. I saw it at the Music Box. It was the first time I saw it. Totoro is a masterpiece in every way. Kiki's Delivery Service is wonderful. Only Yesterday is a masterpiece. Porco Rosso is very good, but I wouldn't say that I loved it. Ocean Waves is a TV movie that I've never seen. Pompoko never seen. Whisper of the Heart, love it. Have you seen Whisper of the Heart?
No, I've only seen The Cat Returns, which I know is like the
it's like
spiritual
sequel.
successor.
Yeah. Whisper of the Heart is more sort of like almost From Up on Poppy Hill, where it's sort of like a teenager slice of life. There's nothing mystical or magical about it. It's just like teenager. Same thing with Only Yesterday. It's just a young adult drama. Spirited Away, The Cat Returns, Howl's Moving Castle, did you ever see The Wind Rises? I'd be curious how you would react to that film.
No. I just know that the only thing I know about it is that Ano did the voice.
Ano's the main voice actor, and it's about World War II ship the Zero plane designer. So I'd be curious about how you would react to that film.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sure we'll continue our Ghibli festival for years to come on our silly little podcast. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we're going to segue into just doing segments instead of doing, hour and a half long episodes going forward. But that being said, we appreciate everyone who's subscribed over the last year to our silly, dumb show. And we'll see you next time. So until then, Alex, will you please wrap up this episode of Culture Doom?
Yes, thank you very much for joining us here on Culture Doom, where we have reverted to simply reviewing Miyazaki films or Studio Ghibli films.
Ghibli Doom.
Ghibli Doom. But yeah, so please like and subscribe. I don't want to say that, but I'm just saying it. I hope you had a great time. And we'll be back for our Christmas end of year extravaganza. So until we see you then, have a safe and fun, happy Thanksgiving. And on behalf of Brendan, this is Alex saying Dobrobachi from Culture Dude.